All right, friends. Welcome back to another. You know what? We have another special edition of the Pain Point Podcast, and I've got some amazing friends here today. And today we are talking about visibility and influence and why? Because you need that in your business. Not only that, but it's a definite solution. Uh, that you can bring to 2026 to your 2026 pocketbook, your finances, right? And whoops, that's my phone just went crazy and I showed up in two places. So if you could hear that, whoops, hey, it won't stop. All right, tech is taking over. That's what I love. And here we go. We're going to bring some wonderful people in. What does your 2026 visibility and influence look like? I've got two speakers from some of the summits that we've got going on in January, and I'm going to share some of that information. But let me bring these wonderful ladies in. I want to bring in Colleen Stubbs, and I've got Agape Garcia coming in today and having a chat with me. And we're bringing more visibility in here. And when you can, you want to just hop in a Zoom and you can stream from anywhere and everywhere. Yep, that's right. And we're going to come on in, ladies, when you are ready to come in, and get you back on this podcast. And we're going to talk about influence. We're going to talk about visibility. And we were backstage talking about how important it is to just grab the mic and get in the spotlight. And because we're glorious and we are of the aged, because because we are comfortable in our skin, we have experience and we know who we are. We are definitely confident people, if you haven't met us yet, but I want to bring these lovely ladies in. And Colleen, if people don't know you, we have had conversations, we have gone live before. Tell people a little bit about who Colleen Stubbs is.
Yeah, let's get personal first to start with, right? So I am actually a grandma to 12, 13 soon, mom to four. I am a farmer's wife, which means that in the past week we've delivered a calf and three lambs. So that's super exciting. And I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I've been building businesses, brick and mortar businesses for over 37 years. I absolutely love everything business. I now have my business I'm building online is teaching other people to simplify their business through automations and delegations by creating a simple CRM for them. So I am the founder of Simplified CEO Systems.
Well, awesome. Yeah. What a great, we're going to get more into your business, but thanks for sharing that. You're bringing some more wonderful animals to the world, whether it's through children or your farm, right? You got the little beasties out, and what a great time of year to celebrate that new life and that new birth. That's apropos for the Christmas season, isn't it? That's so great. Thank you for sharing that. And Miss Agape Garcia, come up here and introduce yourself here, who you are and about your business and about the wonderful things that you do.
Well, thank you. Yes, and to get personal, two children, no grandchildren, and no extra mouths to feed as it relates to animals. I am the founder of Confronting Domestic Violence, born from a real situation. I survived a double attempted homicide, 8 months pregnant, over 1,000 miles away from home. About 20 years ago. And today I am filling the gaps that I personally were faced with so that other people do not have to do that. And with today's climate, we're actually providing a service to human resources for the Workplace Violence Prevention Plan, which does include domestic violence spillover. And today it is a law in the state of California. It's called SB 553. And I'm also a certified high performance coach. I love talking about post traumatic growth. Many of us have gone through that journey naturally, but didn't know that there was a name to it.
Wow, and that's what is so great about that is, what does this all have to do with anything, right? We know that in order to have our wonderful families, in order to have our homes, our homestead, support our family, or even support a community and provide solutions, you really got to market yourself and you got to get on the mic for people to open their pocketbooks to you and support a worthy cause. They want to get to know, like, and trust you, but it takes time to build those relationships and to get in a groove. And the more that people know you, the more they can connect and sympathize to your mission, to your purpose. And you can't do that without a stage. You cannot do that without being visible and without influence your audience. And it doesn't mean that you are an influencer. In the sense of, hey, I'm gonna, I'm gonna get in a bikini and sell coffee on the side of the road and take a bunch of TikToks. It's a little different at the age of 53. It doesn't convert very well unless I want to make a bunch of funny memes of myself. I'm probably gonna get kicked off of YouTube. But at this age, the great thing we can do for an aligned purpose and mission is grab the mic, get seen and heard, talk to people, nurture our connections, nurture our communities, and to get to that point of post-traumatic growth. So after the trauma, do we have to solutions? It's great to heal. It's great to not be broken anymore. It's great to not be in a stressful place and have a better place to go. But what's the next step? And that is part of solutions to people's pain points is how do we continuously bring the continuity of business into our lives, and how do we grow? And we do that with something like that, like the systems that Colleen has, right? So your system helps people with what all the magic you do behind the curtain, all the teaching and all the training. What the genius of that is that people can go be in an event, but they can hire you, Colleen, and you get them all set up and give them a foundation to not only have a nurture sequence or reach out to their leads that they're going to generate before the event, and all the great juicy leads that you get after the event, you still want to have follow up. The fortune's not in the follow up if you have no follow up, right? That's the support. That's an ever evolving, evergreen, moving and fluid thing of the genius of what you do, right?
Absolutely. And the thing is that once you get all of that automated, what it does is it gives you more freedom to be more visible. So instead of spending 2 weeks after an event trying to email everybody and communicate with everybody, touch bases with them and see where they're at, see what they felt like after the event and what really resonated with them, instead of you meddling in that, that's already set up through automations that we've done by heart in advance. And that gives you time to get in another event and keep it going, be more visible. And not only that, but there's a lot to be said. Like, we're all visible, right? We just assume when we go in public, everybody can see us. It's the same on the internet. But when you appear with confidence, because you know that your systems are running smoothly behind you, that is a big difference in how you are visible versus when you go ahead and schedule out to be on all the podcasts or be in all the events, and you're worried and stressed out and anxious that you're doing all this for naught because nothing's connected in the back end. And you know that leads are dropping, connections are dropping, relationships are not being built. And in short, you're leaving money on the table.
Um,
So
yeah.
if you put it all together and let it flow correctly, it will do the hard work for you. And that gives you the freedom to show up as your bright, happy self.
Well, part of that problem is that it gets so stressful. I got to have this, I got to have this, I got to have this. But having someone like you that knows, that has experience and expertise and knowledge in business, what works, what doesn't work, and what's working online. So even if you are a live, you want to go into your community and you want to network and connect, and you have a community that you can actually go in person. You could be there live, in this moment, in this reality. Uh, you know, you can do that. And having an event, if you market your live events or those live little moments that you have in a group, in a podcast that gets recorded, because everything is getting recorded now with the advent of meta glasses and our cell phones, it's a camera all the time. We're constantly being recorded. So if we make sure that we know that we're present in those moments, that we can make the magic happen after that. And a lot of people lose. I find a lot of people get disheartened and they lose the faith in, gosh, I spoke at all these stages, whether they were free or whether they're paid. And then they feel like I didn't get any connection. Sometimes it's your talk, sometimes it's your story. That is something a little bit different to unpack. But a lot of times it's, do you have a gift to give? Do you have a free giveaway? Are you connecting people? Are you having a call to action? I think it's so important to have a definite call to action of how people can find you, whether that, get on my calendar, or hey, maybe you got a great coaching or you got a great AI tool. You want to have that call to action for people to go explore it, to explore it with you, and to get into your, to buy into your services and products. And the reason that's so valuable to know, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it, I don't know why it's such a secret, but if you don't talk about it and then remind them with a face, remind them with your logo. When you stand out and shine, and we had this discussion earlier, Colleen, about you recently got a new logo. And now people can see this new logo, and you put your logo and your colors everywhere. And you're so great with your marketing that people recognize that. And you have to have so many touch points. And when people see that, they remember they've seen you on the camera, they've seen you in a networking group, and now they see your logo there. When people have this and they don't have to touch it, it's so less stressful. But let's talk about the business building on that visibility of the gold in the marketing and just how easy it is. And it's really not that difficult.
Yeah, well, and you know what I'm thinking too, adding to your event things that you're saying that we should do. How many people are actually staying at the events? So if you're a speaker at an event and it's a 3-day event, are you taking advantage of those 3 days and actually checking in for the event and being present and interacting in all the Q&As and really just meeting and greeting people in the event, just like you would in person? Because that is also huge. They're going to walk away from a 3-day event and maybe you were the second speaker on the first day. But on day 3 or the day after the event, when they think back on the event, did they have any touch points with you during the event outside of just your presentation, right? And if they did, that will help you stand out too, right? They're going to go, oh, yeah, she was the lady who commented on this,
Right.
or we had a conversation on a side note about this, and that really helps to build that credibility. But marketing yourself, and this is something I tell my clients all the time, and I'm not shy about it. And sometimes I think they're like, okay, I did my own thing. There's consistency. You cannot have a presentation named one thing and then your call to action goes to something totally different. It needs to be consistent with all the same branding too, so that they're aware of it. And I've set my emails up, my newsletter, my landing pages, my social media. So when you open them, they all look the same. You don't even have to look for my face. You just go, well, I know who that is
Right.
because you've seen that repetitively. And I think that that's a huge part of it. And a huge part of visibility is really just putting that out there in a way that's comfortable for you.
Well, exactly. And it's those touch points of seeing it. I think people waste space. Sometimes there's a wasted space, or maybe sometimes people don't see it, is that when you are sending an email, if I get 100 emails a day from people, I don't always recognize people's names. If I went to an event, I got on somebody's email list, and so I might not even have crossed paths with that person or had a one-to-one call with them, or have really gotten a chance to go to their website and kind of cyber stalk and get to know who they are. And then all of a sudden I get an email. Well, I'm going to unsubscribe. Why? Because it has no relevance to me, because there's no face, there's no logo. I can't go find you. I will not recognize you. It's that cognition of who you are, and why should I value you if you don't value yourself enough to show your face? We
Yes.
show our face all day, so let's bring that recognition. It's billboard space, I think, really. I was watching that the other day with a guy from Morgan and Morgan. He was on a podcast and they were talking about, he will have a billboard if it's in the ocean, he will have a billboard if it's in a desert. If there's a space for a billboard and people can see it, you are utilizing that space. It's not getting wasted, and people can see you. Especially the other day, I was at a workshop it was a sales workshop. I must have gotten 3 or 4 texts a couple days before, a text that I scheduled the workshop, and that a reminder. And I was thankful for it because I knew that it was coming, but they also sent in the text what I needed to have. I had my journal. Did I have some questions that we were going to workshop some ideas? And they gave me a guide on how to get there. And it's so important to nurture. And then this is the last one, and then I'll come to you, Agape, because of visibility. I want to get really about the visibility and influence of what a stage gives the community. But really, Colleen, it's just the fact of use the space and talk to people. You're educating them, you're connecting with them, you're sympathizing with them. Maybe you could tell a story. Like a nurture sequence is like a mini couple of chapters, right? It's a bit of a book that you're
It
sharing with people.
it is. And I think our job as entrepreneurs is to take our story and bridge it to our business, right? And so, whatever that looks like for you, I told a story the other day about how I hired myself in one of my businesses, and I was the worst employee ever. But I was able to tie it back to business. And when you're using your story that way, it makes you more memorable. Now, I'm going to visit on the fact too that we were talking before this when we were talking about our age, and we are not the Golden Girls, but we've been alive long enough that we're comfortable with ourselves, and we understand that we're not everybody's cup of tea or shot of whiskey, and we're all okay with that. And I think that as the age that we are, it's a great opportunity that we have to lead the younger generation in being comfortable online with who we are, right? Because there was a time, maybe a year or two ago, when everybody was going for aesthetically pleasing and faceless, and I didn't want anything to do with that. That is creepy to me, and I know that that is my age showing, but I'm okay with that. I understand that not everybody is going to like my voice, but I also understand that there's power in my voice, and that when people hear a podcast playing and my voice is in it, they will be able to recognize me. And so just being able to have confidence in that, and not feel like we're not good enough to show up however we are, right? In
That's
our
a
in
that's
our
a hundred
business self.
percent because when you're comfortable with your voice, you're comfortable with who you are, you exude confidence, and in a way that's marketing, but in a way there's a soul-led leadership that comes through that shines when you do that. And watch yourself, watch the change, watch the dynamic of your connection with the camera, with who you're talking to, with how you're personalizing it, and with the connection that you have. It's not always just looking in your camera, it's being human. And that's something that YouTube just did too, is in June they announced that no longer will they monetize AI only channels. Here's your chance, ladies. Here's your chance, people over 40. They want you to be human. And what are we? If anything, we're human. Mistakes and all, warts and all, we are human. And the humanness is what's supporting. The humanness is the that's going to push the algorithm. Even LinkedIn has gone to leaving your post up a little bit longer where it was seconds and it would disappear. LinkedIn is keeping that imprint and keeping you connected to those people even stronger. They want your face. They want your voice. They don't want the technology. And now you can influence your audience by being you. If you're doing everything that everybody's doing, then it's boring. There's a uniqueness that's allowed to come back, and that's what had gotten missed so much. It was that uniqueness. Everybody looked the same, everybody dressed the same, and it's like this is not a Sadie Hawkins dance. Let's we're not all wearing matching T-shirts. But Agape, I want to bring you in because let's talk about visibility and how important it is to you and the message that you're putting across because visibility is important for survivors to heal. Visibility is important for the nonprofit, and visibility is important to be seen and heard to get past the post-traumatic growth. But as someone who is the executive director of Confronting Domestic Violence, if you're not out there networking, you can't influence people to support the cause, right?
That's right. And I'll be very vulnerable and share how I was off social media my entire life. I will age myself by saying I never even had MySpace. That's how long I've been around. And I just did not get on social media because I believed that that was more so for my protection and privacy. And once I established the organization, I was like, oh my gosh, I have no visibility. Nobody even knows I exist. And, for trial and error and for me to get over my own fear factor beyond, the privacy and safety, but the fear factor of just showing my face and speaking out loud and reaching my audience. I wish I knew you guys 3, 4 years ago when I first started because I would not have all of these mistakes to share on what not to do. It would be more along the lines of, saying exactly what to do. But there is that balance, right? And so I have been on the stage with both Colleen and Nicole, and I can say that it is very, very important, again, for that visibility of connection. We can post all day long. We can have 1,000 posts 1,000 times, but if it's not connecting with the individual on that level, it's going nowhere. It's just, I'm gonna say sometimes it's a waste of time. But when you do show up, when you are active, when you are responsive, when you are following up in that setting of connecting, that's where it happens. That's where it takes place because it's very similar to an open mouth, or excuse me, a closed mouth doesn't get fed, right? So a closed mouth is
Mhm.
not going to get heard either. So if you have a message to deliver, if you have connections to make, if you're seeking a specific providing a specific service or offering a specific training or whatever it is all about connecting with individuals. And even if one person or the group of people that are in there may not connect with you directly, they know someone that they will want to connect you with. And I can say today that I went from zero in 2023, zero, okay,
Yep.
to about 3,000 followers in
Mhm.
2 years. And that's on my LinkedIn.
Right.
And it has just been an amazing journey by having the opportunity to tap into these different summits and platforms and networking events to be able to do that. If it wasn't for those platforms and my approach and showing up and opening up, I would not have this testimony to share today. It's very important. And I want to thank both of you for embracing me and allowing me to be a part of your world.
I
Well,
love
I'm
that so much.
glad.
I just want to say that you were saying that connecting and being there. I love that you are giving women the courage to share their story because here's the truth. None of us are going to go to somebody who's fat and ask how to lose weight.
Nope.
We're not. We're just not, right? You're not going to go to somebody who's bald and ask for hair care tips, right? And so, Agape, when you come on and you share your story, your heartfelt story, and there are ways to share your story without sharing details that don't need shared. But when you share your story, you're putting a face and a voice to the story that's in other women. And that builds the connection. That makes them go, she gets me, you know? And it gives them, when you're showing up with clarity and confidence in your story and in where you are in life as a woman, just sharing that, that gives them the courage to also show up and shine. It gives them permission to show up even imperfectly because none of us here are worried whether we're perfect or not. We're just showing up to share from the heart. And when you do that, it really gives other people the opportunity to do that, but it builds connections. It builds relationships so much faster than the algorithm or putting up a pretty picture or putting up a graphic or something like that. And so I think for women of our generation, that this is a great time to shine. This is going back to our home roots, what we knew, like when we had to ride the bike around the circle to go see if the people on the other end of the block want to come play. We had to go knock and talk to people, actually connect, and so we were raised building relationships, real relationships. And so I think that it's our turn to show up and help other people doing that by showing up with clarity and confidence. And you do an excellent job of that. I really appreciate that in both of you.
Well, thank you so much. And while you were saying that, I was laughing, chuckling to myself, thinking like, yeah, before LinkedIn, we were calling to see if we wanted to link up.
That's true.
Right?
True.
That's exactly what that's all about. That's exactly what that is. But how wonderful is that that you have the chance to have a platform and it's low cost, no cost in some places. We can share, we can collaborate, we can send the message out. And the beauty is so much that the visibility and people can connect with your story. And going back even Agape, when you were talking about you're not just being vulnerable, you're putting things out there that you may worry about privacy, but I do want to talk about that. You don't have to share everything. You really, really don't. And for people to understand that there's some oversharing and there's a bit of TMI in there, a little too much to share. We're not on, thank goodness for LinkedIn because it's not Facebook. Um, do you really want to see that salad or what's going on with the neighbors? I don't know that I want to see all that. But the thing is that you have the ability to show up and be present in the moment and show up with a purpose. And when you show up with a purpose and you use your voice, you have the permission now to do that. You're establishing freedom, you're showing freedom, and you're building community. And when you reach not just one, but you're reaching millions within that community, it's building, it's growing. And this is the way we can do this. I don't have to pay $50,000 to have a billboard on the Las Vegas Strip that people are going to see, but they're probably not going to really pay attention to because it's so in the moment right then and there. This is something that we can use forever. This is something that won't go away. This is something that people can build trust with because they know that this video is going to be here tomorrow. Besides, you can take a few clips and you can use it for social media. That's what's great about a summit. There's so many good solutions right here in just getting on a podcast, just going live, just doing this yourself and nurturing that and continually having those touch points. And when Agape and I, when we first met and we were talking about, just, what was it, active campaign and putting a CRM out there and taking the leads and reaching out to people and nourishing that. And it took a lot. And we went through some fails and some successes, but it's become so easy to start to understand the importance of what we have when we decide to take control of what we can, let go of what we can't, but really move forward with we have control to be out there and be a voice. How has that changed for you to come onto this stage now, years later, and be like, hey, we're still podcasting, we're still talking, and look at all the wonderful people we've connected to?
It is the most reassuring thing I could say that I've experienced throughout the duration of trying to understand social media and how to get visible. To be very honest with you, I will say that if you're trying to figure it out on your own, just stop in your tracks because that's how a lot of time passes by without the needle moving. And if it wasn't for these platforms and these opportunities, I would not be where I'm at today. So I am just so grateful that you were a part of the journey of me making these mistakes and starting from scratch over and over and over again because you were more of that coach and guider opposed to don't do this, don't do that. You allowed me to take responsibility for my own actions based on my own ideas, even though I thought they were right. And you, as a subject matter expert, in my eyes, you showed me by leading by example, and that is really truly what helped me open up and feel more confident in being safe and vulnerable at the same time, because you're absolutely correct. That privacy umbrella is extremely important, but we found a way how to be vulnerable and safe and visible. So I would have to say that it has definitely changed the journey that confronting domestic violence and myself has been on. As I shared earlier, we went from, I can't say zero to hero yet, but zero to at least 3,000, And that's great because I've made a lot of connections. We have an outpour of support. and people are showing up to help out, whether it's with the mission or with the service that's being provided. And we are definitely helping survivors on a daily basis, and that is what keeps the fire burning in me.
I love that because the next step for people is where does this come back to in business? If you want to be free, if you truly want to be free, that's even financially free, take what we have, what is out there, online, social media. You can use it for good. You could put the good juju in it and you can use it. You can nurture your campaigns. You can reach out to your leads. You can tell them a little bit of a story. You can orate to them. You can share with them your moments, your journey, your successes, and you can bring them along if they so choose. And you're supporting them through this journey. And in that, you're taking control of your life, but you're also gaining financial freedom. And what a way to realize that, hey, I can monetize this. What a wow moment to say, oh, I've got a digital product. And whether I'm coaching, consulting, I have a stage, I'm making a commercial, I'm doing a project, and going, dude, we can use this. And Agape, if I have had these discussions, we can use this for confronting domestic violence without having to ask at certain points. I mean, you need money for a nonprofit, you need money to live, but certain points, but to say, to come in here and say, hey, um, you know, we can teach people, we can give them the gift of a business to do business online, whether you choose to put your face on there or not. You can build a business, you can open a Shopify store. You can do tech in the background, you can run a CRM. What a difference it is. And then, because Colleen, I want to bring you in here. I mean, how has business changed for you? Because you've had brick and mortar stores. How easy
I,
is it now to just be like, I can do this online for a couple days a week and then I can disappear?
you know what a blessing that is, right? And for me, I know some people are like, well, I want to have these days on and only work these days. But for me, it's a more fluid thing. It's like I left a networking event the other night. I'm like, hey, gotta go, got a calf coming. You know, it's spontaneity to be able to just go, right now I have a farm emergency, or I have a grandkid stopping by, or whatever it might be. Um, when I was in the brick and mortar business world, I had different stores that had set hours. You have to be there, you have to be present, you have certain hours. Even if you have employees, you still have to be available. Besides, then you have to be available after hours for security reasons and things like that too. But so much more time consuming. And I found myself never able to go on vacation, never able to just up and go, to drive 2 hours away to go shopping and take a call. That you can't run a business that way if you're in a brick and mortar world. So doing it online is definitely better for that. But I think that for people of, I'm going to go back to our generation. I really like working with midlife entrepreneurs, and I think it's overwhelming because there's so much tech, so many tools, and people are they get buried in it. Like they don't understand that there's a clear, simple path to build a business just kind of along the same lines that you would in a brick and mortar where you have employees, but online you're using automation and delegation as employees, and that letting that do the heavy lifting so that you can just be building relationships. And once you figure that out online, you have so much freedom and really so much ability to just show up and shine, and also to spend time in the parts of your business you love. And so if you have a crochet business and you love to teach crochet and have people watch you and really just teach them virtually, then you would have time to do that instead of worrying about the back office part, right? About the tech end and that kind of thing. So, and I wanted to touch on what Agapi was saying. There's so many resources, and even if it includes hiring a coach, there are ways to share your story that get the point across, that get the emotion across without sharing too many details. And what a powerful force that is, especially in the domestic violence world. If you can take the bricks that were thrown at you and not only build a foundation, but make money off of them, there's no better comeback.
Right? Right? Now you have a way to go, hey, I can do this. And absolutely. It's how are you getting a return almost in a sense on the investment that you put in your life, the energy
Yeah,
that got sucked out?
exactly.
You look at it that way and go, oh, okay. Now I can get revenge in a different way.
Yeah, you can. Absolutely.
And I can be successful about it and not be canceled. How what a difference. And I know, Agape, you and I have seen these changes not only in us, and had a few laughs at what we thought was like, this has to be this way, and it's not a bureaucracy. It is a business, but it's about the human experience. And I think that's the most important thing. That's what, Colleen, especially with what you're saying, it's the most important thing. We're reframing, we're flipping the script on the way we saw things, and now going, oh, I have the advantage. I am the intelligent being, and I'm taking my life back. But you don't have to go on social media and talk a lot of smack. It doesn't doesn't bode well anymore. It's not going to push the algorithm. What is going to is the way that you did that, the way that you delegated that decision, you automated that, and it works in life. And so you can pair it up and say, hey, I'm successful. Now I'm soul led. I am the leader of myself. I'm the boss of me because I had to hire myself. And boy, have I fired myself enough times throughout the day. Just today, I'm like, you're fired. But it doesn't work. It's not as fun and as dramatic. It's a little bit crazy in my head, but it's like, okay, so I rehired myself with a bonus today and I showed up. So you got to show up for you, right? You do, give yourself a bonus, have a drink, go shopping, buy a shirt, reward yourself. And that's the other thing with summits too is, and whoever wants to take this question, probably I'll take it, send it, give it to both of you, is really the not only the joy when it actually connects, not just your storyline, but you've got your back office set up, you got the CRM, and when you are a great leader and you can delegate, especially over 40, and we all have aligned avatars that we focus it, and that's why the stages work so well for all of us, and the other people that are coming on the stages, is that we are aligned, so we are all working in a great flow instead of a tidal wave or a tsunami, to reach out to people to say, hey, how is this changed now that we can have fun with being online, now that we can have change those learning curves when it starts to connect, and people come back to you and they start to schedule and they get on the books, and you're like, wow, that actually worked. What's that like when the solution actually works?
I think that one of the things you said that really hit on me is that I thought the solution was summits. Go live, go to summits, right? And so I went to summits and I paid big bucks to be on a couple summits and they were horrible. I can say that there was no alignment. This was me. I was going, why, how, why am I in this room? I'm so lost. These are not my people. This is not my tribe. Is this going to be broadcasting where people are going to see me with them? Because it was horrible. And so I actually like took a sabbatical. Like, okay, I'm going to be the Virgin Mary of summits now. I will never do that again. And and then I met Nicole, and you're like, okay, well, let's make sure that everything's aligned, that these are the right people, this is the right audience. And I was like, wow, that's genius. And I have had I haven't even hesitated a little bit in working with Nicole. If Nicole says, hey, there's something, I've got a summit coming up in 6 months. Do you want to be in it? I'm like, yeah, I'm in. Because you know what? Nicole's not going to ask me if it doesn't align with my goals. And Nicole's built a relationship with me and she knows my goals. She knows my business. She knows my person. She knows my life. And she's not going to put me in a situation because that compromises her business. And so that's so, when it clicks like that, that is so huge, so
Yeah.
huge. It's a whole new world. It's like you have the opportunity to build business with all these people that you're interacting with in the summits, as well as the other speakers, just all of them, and to really build relationships. And the idea isn't for everybody to be your client. The idea is that you're probably going to have 75 to 80% of those people that are not your client, but they know somebody that's going to be your client. And then you're going to have 10% that are like, I drink lemonade, not whiskey. I'm out. And then, and then you're going to have 10% that just pop in and go, I'm ready. What day can I start? And you're like, oh, well, hello, welcome, come on in. So, I mean, that's the difference in doing it with Nicole in alignment and somebody who believes in relationships, as opposed to doing it with somebody who's there to collect a check, if, for lack of a better word.
right? And it's that you're building community, you're building strength, you're all aligned, and it's a no-brainer. And the majority of people, the gold in some of that is not only the great alignment that you can constantly connect with, that people will open your email. I got a wonderful, I did a whole workflow and I went crazy with chat. Me and chat had a few late nights and a few early mornings, like at 4 o'clock this morning. Like, hey, I got to get this out of my head. But I created this new workflow, and it that I heard from someone who teaches speakers and who does this for a living. And look, I'm not a romance novelist. I'm not. I don't have flowery words. I can't do all that stuff. Um, but he actually said, "Hey, I loved the subject line. It made me open, and I read the entire newsletter and replied to you." And it was like so big. Not just that somebody read it, not just that somebody saw me, but that it connected. Because, I've got a bit of a self-deprecating humor. I love to talk about my mistakes and just laugh at it because I think it's hilarious. I'm a people person. The greatest experience and the greatest laugh is human beings. You got to watch them. I love them, but it's a connection because there's an ebb and flow in the story. There's drama. There's heroes. There's the Carl Jung's in there. There's the ego self, and there's all of that in this great Star Wars epic of the hero, right, and the hero's journey that you're really getting into, and the connection. And when you really get into that, then you can connect with your audience, and your audience will listen and actually open your emails, and it drives up your algorithms. And that way you don't have to worry about always going back in your head and going, God, am I making a connection? And when you do that and you really think of not only yourself, but the connection, the evolvement, and the conversation, are you having a real conversation in the room, getting to know people, and are you having a real conversation in your emails, and how does that work out? And so in this great scope of things and building the community and people get on the stage, it makes such a difference for speakers that will return to your stage. It makes such a difference when your speakers not only connect to your audience and they can do good things for your audience and they can serve with passion, purpose, and they can make profit. The other thing is that the gold is the speakers are normally the ones that you end up selling to. Honestly, it's not always the audience. The audience takes nurture because you're warming up your audience, you're giving them an experience in a show, you're reaching out to the cold people, but the warm bodies are like, hey, I know this because that story hit me. I felt it. I feel you. I see you. I hear you. I'm watching you. Then they connect, and there's a larger community, and that's where the referrals and the connections come in. But man, yeah, that was me, Colleen, when you talked about being on the stage, and you were like, hey, I'm just gonna ghost everybody. I'm just gonna get off the summits. I've had those summits. I've been on those summits. I don't know who was it, that the billionaire that gave the lie that you should do your summits for free. What nobody talked about was you had to have the budget. You had to make money beforehand to support that summit, because not only is it 250, I clocked 264 hours, one of the last summits. That's not everything. That was a majority of stuff that I remembered to write down because I just wanted some observation points. But not only that, not only do you have to have your system set up, but you have to be aligned. I spoke on a stage. There was this marketer that I had on. I had her on my podcast. She was great. She had experience. She worked for a large company. I don't know if it was like Nike or whatever, some large company. She was a great marketing guru. But the point was, she was connected to her audience, and she really was honest with the people she was, doing their emails, and the engagement that really was going to happen, and the journey, and explaining everything, and even saying this, and this is kind, is, hey, maybe you're not ready for this right now, and that's okay. And that's a release for some people. But in those conversations that we've had, she was on the stage. I was lucky to be after her because she's talking about marketing. I'm talking about stage. This is really cool. The next person that came on was a sex therapist. And if your stages are not for that kind of OnlyFans crowd, and the marketer's not marketing to OnlyFans. You lose the audience. And how many people dropped off? There was maybe one person that came on camera because they finally woke up because they were getting lulled to sleep, but half the people left the room because one, it may not, they weren't told what that topic was. It was one of those gotcha moments. And the other thing was, it didn't align. So you just lost out by being on that stage and sharing that the message and all the prep and work and all the people you reached out to and connected with. And then this one moment happens and it wasn't a tech moment and Zoom didn't upgrade on a full moon and everything got lost. Nope. It was because the speakers weren't aligned. And unless it was about relationships and different relationships, there was no cause for that to be there. That was at a different day and at a different time, and you lose people. You know, what if Agape was getting on the stage after that and she's talking about domestic violence? That might not work together. It might not be a good branding moment. It might not serve the audience. It might cause a bit of conflict in there. So we have to not only do our job to get ready for the stage and do our prep and do our work, but we have to know that the host of the summit or the podcast or the workshop is going to honor who we are too. Are you okay with this? Does this align with you? Is this a message that you can get behind? Because if, like Colleen, that message didn't jive with you on that stage, for whatever the reason is, wouldn't it have been better perhaps if somebody had given you, say, hey, um, is this going to work for you? Is this going to help support you personally or professionally? You should be able to have that at hand. And speakers who don't email, and that's the other thing. And then in Colleen, it's, if you have a summit, and we had to talk about this, and we were working on sharing and teaching and training some of the speakers coming in to say, hey, you've got to reach out to your list. You need to send your emails out because it's fair. Everybody here, whether it's paid or not, has to send out emails because those may be your leads, but are you willing to share them? And those conversations to say, hey, we have to promote one another. And some people have it in the contract. You need to send out to your audience one time, three times, 10 times, whatever the agreement is. And you get a promoter link so people can track you now. What's that like when you're learning, hey, I need to get some leads, and I want to support my speakers, but my speakers have to support me in return?
Right. And I think that I felt like when I first started in the summit world, I didn't have a big email list. I think I had 17 people on my list, if I could say that. And so what I did was I actually paid to advertise in front of people that were the right audience. And I shared those posts in that space. Um, until I built my list up to where I wanted it to be. But I think too that something that has to be considered is that when you host a summit or have a summit, so I had a summit a few months ago and I hired Nicole to do the summit for me. I didn't want to do anything with it. I wanted to show up. I wanted it all organized and done professionally and I didn't want to worry about it, right? Like that's not my expertise. Um, but I had so many people reach out to me like, hey, I want to be a speaker on your summit. Hey, I want to be a speaker on your summit. First thing out of their mouth, not what is your summit about or does it align with me? And so that's one thing that I really appreciate with Nicole is the fact that you'll go in and say, hey, this isn't going to be the summit for you. I have another summit down the road that fits your thing better. Let's put you there. Instead of just being like, open the floodgates, let everybody come in, especially if they're paying, then you get more money or whatever, because that's not the best way to do it. The best way is to truly make sure everybody's aligned, and you can build relationships out of that. And I think that's huge. And yet, as leaders and in this industry, we need to two things. Number one, we need to not be afraid to ask for help. We need to not feel like it's a burden or we're a burden to say, "Hey, I don't know what you mean by swipe copy." You know,
Mhm.
there's no shame in your game. My dad always said, "She who asks most learns most." And then number two, you need to be the one to say, "Hey, let me show you. Let's jump on a Zoom." Exactly like you did, Nicole, with some of my speakers for my summit. You said, okay, we're going to have a Zoom where we all get on and I will walk you through doing this form or doing this process or what this looks like. We're going to walk through every single thing. We're going to answer all of your questions, you know? And so, number one, don't be afraid to ask. And number two, don't be afraid to teach people. There's no gatekeeping. Why are we gatekeeping? Billions of people on the internet. Yeah, let's not tell somebody how to send an email. I mean, they're going to figure it out. So be the one that leads with love, right?
Right. And if you do leave with love and you do share and teach and educate when they ask for it, don't assume they need to know. Kind of, it's like any good teacher. You want to assess where the person's at, whether it's in life or in their business. And once you know that connection and you just give, it just takes seconds. You don't have to spend all year and doing like hours and hours of research. But when you do that and you line out your expectations and the goals of the summit and share it with people, they're willing to share it and say, hey, let's identify whether you know what this means to share swipe copy. Doesn't mean just get an email out there and be like, hey, by the way, come see the summit. That's not what people are looking for. It's a journey, right, Agape? We found that there was a journey when we both started learning about this, and that's kind of one of the drivers was, you know, learning how to connect with people, learning how to share the message with people and opening up. And I've seen you do this. You do this so wonderfully where we had a workshop and we had people coming in and we allowed them to come in as avatars, but after a while of connection they started to open up to you. What does that feel like to you when people trust you, that you can have a voice and you listen to them and in your sharing and you're growing the community, not just through a business, not just through a nonprofit, but one to one?
Well, the feeling I cannot even put into words. It's beyond fulfilling, honestly. I have so much to echo of what Colleen said as it relates to all these other avenues that I was trying, right? I mean, I was an international speaker at a summit. What was the end result? Nothing. I was an international co-author in a book. What was the result of that? Nothing. And here it is. It's time, money, effort, just scheduling. It's a lot of time and energy that you put into things and money that you put into things for zero ROI. And again, with Nicole and the summits that and the platforms that she provides, it's intentional. And when it's intentional, the outcome is much different. And that's why I can sit here with a different story today because of those bumps in the road. Because of those, many times of revamping and figuring out, okay, this is this, like you mentioned earlier, active campaign. Yes, we run active campaign, but there were so many limitations. And then as Colleen, said earlier, there's so many different options out there. So, it's understanding what is the best fit for you. And sometimes you don't know because hence what she said again, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So if you're not asking the questions, how are you going to get the answers? And your platform has definitely allowed all of that. I mean, it's dotted so many I's and crossed so many T's that I am now connecting with people. I mean, Colleen, Lynn, so many others that I can, rattle off at the moment. We're connected because of your platforms. And I just want to say, as a high performance coach, once you have clarity, naturally the energy and excitement flows. And the combination of the clarity and the energy results in courage. And when you have that trifecta, this opens up the floodgates to the productivity. And the productivity is where it is so important to have that personal connection. And that's why I'm not going anywhere. I'm here for life. So
Can't get rid of you if I wanted to. No, just kidding.
We could all be blood sisters. How about that? Do we do that
Right,
still?
right. Absolutely. I love that because I mean, and in this journey, the frustration was like, and then the gold was like, the super blonde Sagittarius Irish Italian moment was like, oh, we can do this ourselves. Why are we trying to find somebody to do this?
And you're
Why are we trying to make somebody do this? We don't have the money. Where are we going to get this for the nonprofit? But then it was like, oh, duh, I got social media myself. Hello.
you've got that voice. You've got that voice box God gave you.
Yeah.
And you know what? You don't go through life without friends. So you know there are people that like you, and there's billions of people on the internet. Some of them are bound to like us. You just gotta learn to speak, learn to get out there, put yourself out there. And funny thing, when I went live, I had done it when I had my boutique, my upscale boutique years ago. I don't know, 5 years ago. I had done some lives where we did some live unboxing, and I had done, no, I did not do any live sales. I think the girls that worked for me did some live sales, but that was the only time I'd ever gone live on social media. So when I came on to build this business and I decided I was going to go live, and I don't remember even what I was teaching. Funniest thing ever. Perfect day outside, no storm clouds, anything. And all of a sudden the power goes out. Well, we have solar backup. And I'm like, okay, well, we are live. So if we just count this down, I count down to 10, the solar kicks on. I'm like, there's the solar. Okay. And we keep going for a few minutes. And then the power comes back on. I'm like, okay, just a second. We're going to count down to 10 again. I don't know where that video is, but I know it lives on the internet and I didn't miss a beat. I just kept going. And you know what? I figured if nothing else, they're probably going, let's see if she could get her shit together. We're just going to watch for a minute.
We'll just see how it plays out. I worked at a boutique in Las Vegas. It was like it was an energy play, in an energetic place, and I was trying to escape it, the kind of corporate America type stuff. And I thought, I'll try this as a side hustle. And these girls are like, they're younger. You got to get online. You got to get on social media. This is how they do it. And then the boss leaves. She goes out of town. She goes to London, and the two girls are doing a live, and in the middle of the live, not only did they bring their pet in there, at one point, I can't remember if it was on that video or not, and their pet was running around the boutique, and and they were lighting like sage or some burning something, and they ended up lighting their hair on the live.
That's crazy.
But it just those moments, it's like, are we paying attention? Do we know what's going on? And there's crazy times, and then there's other times. But the here's the other thing that the great thing is you can be online. The great thing is you can share your voice. And the other great thing is if you're in a place that doesn't align with you, there's this great escape plan that you have. It's called the exit leave now button, and
Yep.
you can hit that and you can go away. It's just like the emails. If you're worried about people sending too many emails, or you sending out emails and ew, yuck, they don't want to hear you, they're going to spam you. Guess what? This is a wonderful thing called unsubscribe. And people can silently say, no, thank you. And they can also ignore your invite on LinkedIn silently. Nobody's hurt. There's no canceling. You don't have to get mad. You don't have to get in somebody's DMs. What you can say is, hey, I just don't want to friend you. It's just not interesting. It doesn't align with me. Cool. Bye bye. See you later.
I
You
wish you the
have your
best.
way. Yeah. See ya. And that's great because that leaves room for the people that want to be with you. That leaves room for the people that want to be in your life. And
And
now
this
you
is
have that.
this is such a step up from high school in the 80s, right? Like we didn't know. We didn't know if we were in or out, right? Now we're like, oh, you don't like me? Okay, see ya. Bye. That's
If you
okay.
didn't like me in high school, you were going to hear about it. But that's a story for another day. That's if I went to school.
There you go, right? Well, I
I
was in
was wild.
Florida, so
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time laying out on the roof of my high school.
Getting a nice tan. Yeah. I can't remember half of what I did, but that's okay. But thank God there was no social media then.
Thank God there was no cameras.
But I burned all the pictures. We had Polaroids. But anyway, but that's just the point of this is that you can have fun with it. You can joke around with it. Ladies, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for standing up, being here, taking the mic, showing up and shining. We wanted to talk about the events. We have 3 events that are coming up in January. I put all the links there, guys. They're in there. You can find them. I can't even find them right now because I've got so many screens open. And all I can see is the lights. We have the CEO hacker unlocking the next level leadership. That is for CEOs that are either escaping corporate America or the ones that have thankfully escaped. 2026 is the year AI is going to take over. So you might as well have a plan and a path in place. Or that is for entrepreneurs that have been in business probably 5 years, years plus, and you are ready for the tools, you're ready for the systems, you're ready for leadership, maybe a little business strategy, all that. We also have from invisible to influential. That is, what is that about? It's about what we've been talking about, going from invisible and finding the mic, being influential. Again, that doesn't mean you have to be a TikTok influencer. It means how do you influence your audience on a soul led level, and that is for, we've had great coaches when we have people like Colleen who has experience in business who's going to share and level so you could level up your life, level up your business. We also have from devastated to divine alignment, the chaos to confidence and clarity summit. That's really another next level of benefiting the post traumatic growth, emotional intelligent. What's next? All of these are going to give you takeaways. All of these events are going to leave you with a game changer 2026, not only spiritually, but financially, mentally, emotionally. We want to share solutions for your life, give speakers a stage, build a community, give shout outs and support for confronting domestic violence. And these are success places where you can be healthy, happy, safe, get some good energy, feel into people. There's going to be speaker panels, you have Q&A, there's time for networking. All that'll be going out soon. You'll see that and you'll get uplifted and you'll get some free gifts too. We also have VIP upgrades so you can support confronting domestic violence and the speakers. Any last takeaways, lady?
I think the first step to doing something great online is being comfortable with yourself. I think so many people say you have to do this, you have to do that. And the truth of the matter is you don't have to do anything. You have to do what's best for you so you can show up confidently with clarity.
Absolutely.
That's
Love it.
right. You know yourself better than anybody else, and you are the subject matter expert in your ideas and what you want to deliver. So I agree with that 100%. And this is the platform to make it happen.
And we're really a lot of fun. So come hang out.
We have a good time
We do.
with all the
We
personalities.
we do. I'm gonna find those burnt pictures. We'll get the algorithm really going.
There you go.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Join us next Wednesday. We're going to come with another special episode of the Pain Point Podcast with solutions and some tips for visibility and influence in your 2026 years. 2026 year. Thank you so much for being here and the support. And Mike, thank you so much, and everybody else that showed up in the chat. We love you. Thank you for the support. It was so great to be here to share the love, and we'll see you on the other side. Bye bye.